Well, the Assad family has been synonymous with Syria for more than 5 decades. But now that the dynasty has fallen, how will the country be governed?
In early December 2024, the long-standing regime of Bashar al-Assad, who had ruled Syria for 24 years, finally came to an end. His entire family was forced to flee the country and seek refuge abroad. However, their escape wasn't the only major event. Bashar's wife, who was born in the UK, is gravely ill, battling leukemia, with her condition worsening over time. For years, she wasn't just the president's wife. She played a significant role in shaping the state's image. So, what happens now to the wife of Syria's infamous dictator? What does life in exile look like for her? And how is she coping with her illness? In this video, we'll explore the answers to these questions and reveal the truth about her life after losing power. Stay tuned to uncover the full story. The Assad family. The Assad family held control over Syria for nearly 50 years, ruling with an iron fist. Their authoritarian regime was defined by fear, oppression, and violence. However, all of that came to a dramatic halt on December 8, 2024, when opposition forces managed to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. Faced with no other option, the family was forced to flee the country. Their escape was nothing short of dramatic, using secret underground tunnels and the help of allies and foreign nations. Throughout these years, one figure stood firmly by Bashar's side, his wife, Asma al-Assad. Beyond being the mother to their 3 children, Asma played a crucial role in managing Syria's economic affairs. She was once seen as both admired and criticized, dubbed Syria's Lady Diana and the Rose of the Desert by the media. However, as the regime's brutal crimes came to light, those titles shifted, and she became known as Lady Macbeth and the First Lady of Hell. But how did this woman, born and raised in the UK as the daughter of a respected doctor, once a simple bank employee, end up as the wife of one of the world's most infamous dictators? Let's dive deeper into her story. Early life of the former First Lady. Asma al-Assad, born Asma Fawaz al-Akhras on August 11, 1975, spent her early life far removed from the turbulent conflicts of the Middle East. Raised in Acton, a lively and diverse neighborhood of West London, she grew up in a family that effortlessly blended Syrian traditions with a distinctly Western lifestyle. Her father, Dr. Fawaz al-Akhras, was a highly respected cardiologist, renowned for his contributions to the medical field, while her mother, Sahar al-Akhras, worked as a first secretary at the Syrian embassy in London. Despite their strong cultural roots in Syria, the family lived a life deeply entrenched in British society, embracing the customs and values of their adopted home. Asma's education mirrored her family's high aspirations. She began her academic journey at local schools in London before attending King's College London, where she earned a first-class degree in computer science and French literature in 1996. Early on, Asma stood out for her remarkable intelligence and dedication to her studies, demonstrating exceptional promise as a bright and ambitious student. Following her university studies, Asma entered the fast-paced world of investment banking. Starting at Deutsche Bank, she quickly gained recognition for her sharp analytical skills and relentless work ethic. Her career continued to flourish when she joined J.P. Morgan, where her talent and determination led to swift career advancement. Colleagues and friends often referred to her as Emma, a name that reflected her smooth integration into British society and the apparent detachment from the politics and culture of the Middle East. A family friend once described her as very English, emphasizing the way she appeared to have distanced herself from the complexities of her Syrian heritage. Asma's early years painted a picture of a confident and ambitious young woman with a promising future in the financial world, completely disconnected from the political and social turbulence of her Syrian background. Few could have foreseen that this banker from London would one day become entangled in one of the world's most controversial and oppressive regimes. Asma's relationship with Bashar al-Assad. Asma's life took an unexpected and pivotal turn in the late 1990s when her mother, Sahar, encouraged her to reconnect with Bashar al-Assad, a reserved ophthalmology student living in London. Although they had known each other through mutual connections in Syria during their childhood, Bashar had moved to London in 1992 to pursue his medical studies, far removed from the political turmoil that had long defined his family's past. Raised in a relatively peaceful and stable environment in West London, Asma had built a successful career in investment banking, working at JP Morgan and steadily climbing the corporate ladder. With a bright future ahead, she was focused on her professional ambitions, including plans to enroll in an MBA program at Harvard and securing a substantial bonus after closing a major deal. However, her life took a sudden shift when she reconnected with Bashar. Bashar, by contrast, was a quiet and introspective figure. Soft-spoken and deeply focused on his medical studies, he appeared far removed from the image of a future president. At the time, Syria was ruled by his father, Hafez al-Assad, who had held power since 1971 with an iron grip. Hafez was seen as a symbol of authoritarianism, his regime characterized by political repression and a lack of democratic freedoms. Bashar seemed more concerned with his personal ambitions in medicine than the weight of his family's political legacy. However, fate intervened in 1994 when Bashar's older brother Basil, who had been groomed as the heir to the presidency, tragically died in a car accident. This sudden and unforeseen event drastically altered the trajectory of Bashar's life. Overnight, he was thrust into a role he neither sought nor anticipated. Returning to Syria, Bashar abandoned his medical ambitions, swiftly rising through military ranks, from captain to colonel, in just 3 years. By the time Hafez al-Assad passed away in June 2000, Bashar was poised to assume the presidency. For Asma, the decision to leave her flourishing career at JP Morgan and abandon her plans for further education was equally abrupt and unexpected. Her colleagues were bewildered by her resignation, struggling to comprehend why she would walk away from such a successful and promising future. Asma later reflected on her decision, saying, "I just wanted out. I'd had enough." In December 2000, she married Bashar in a ceremony that was shrouded in secrecy, shocking many who knew her as a confident, career-driven professional from London. Their union, bringing together a Sunni Muslim from a westernized background and an Alawite from Syria, was viewed by some as a symbol of modernization and reform. To many, Bashar's decision to marry Asma seemed to project a more progressive image, suggesting a departure from the authoritarianism of his family's past. However, the reality of Syria's regime proved far more complex. Asma al-Assad's story became deeply intertwined with Syria's long history of authoritarianism. Her transformation from a promising banker in London to a central figure in one of the world's most controversial dynasties reflected the ways in which personal choices and political realities became inseparable. In the eyes of many, Asma became emblematic of Syria's enduring struggle between modernity and oppression, her life forever linked to the nation's troubled political landscape. Life as the First Lady.
This is a conflict that has been going on for too long.
Asma's life as Syria's First Lady didn't begin with lavish ceremonies or high-profile events. Instead, she embarked on a journey across the country, visiting rural areas dressed casually in jeans and a t-shirt. "I wanted to meet the people before the world met me," she later told The Observer. Over the course of several weeks, Asma traveled to 100 villages across 13 of Syria's 14 governorates, listening to the struggles of everyday Syrians and contemplating how she could make a difference. This personal journey laid the foundation for her early work as First Lady, focusing on initiatives aimed at improving education, economic opportunities, and rural development. In 2001, Asma founded the Syria Trust for Development, a network of charitable organizations operating under the regime's supervision. Her efforts garnered international attention, and she became recognized as one of the Middle East's most influential figures by Middle East 411 magazine. To many, she appeared as a modern, educated reformer, a woman using her platform to promote positive change. Before the Syrian civil war erupted in 2011, Asma was celebrated as a symbol of female empowerment in the region. International media embraced her, with profiles painting her as a progressive force. In February 2011, Vogue famously dubbed her a rose in the desert, portraying her as stylish, compassionate, and deeply committed to modernizing Syria. The article highlighted her dedication to reform and praised her efforts to bring a more progressive image to the Assad regime. However, that polished image began to unravel later that year. As the Syrian civil war intensified and reports of violence, repression, and human rights abuses emerged, the facade of progress and reform began to crumble. Critics accused media outlets, including Vogue, of contributing to a public relations effort that glossed over the brutal realities of Bashar al-Assad's regime. By June 2012, Vogue's editor, Anna Wintour, admitted that they had been overly optimistic in their portrayal of Asma, stating that the events of the war had revealed the regime's true nature. Asma's early years as First Lady were marked by hope and the illusion of progress. However, the devastating civil war and the Assad regime's violent crackdown on its own people ultimately overshadowed her efforts to project an image of reform. By the time of her marriage to Bashar, few could have predicted the turn her life would take, or the deeply controversial role she would come to embody in Syria's tragic history. Initially, the al-Assad family appeared to be the embodiment of perfection and warmth. Asma and Bashar al-Assad were proud parents of 3 children. Their first son, Hafez, was born in 2001 and was named after Bashar's father, Hafez al-Assad, continuing a family tradition of honoring their patriarch. In 2003, they welcomed their daughter Zayn, followed by their youngest son Karim, born in 2004. In public, the al-Assads often portrayed themselves as a close-knit and loving family. Asma frequently emphasized her role as a devoted and nurturing mother, while Bashar was typically depicted as a stern and distant leader. Asma carefully curated her image as a supportive, modern, and family-oriented First Lady, often appearing with their children in staged family photos that reinforced her softer, maternal persona. In January 2013, during Syria's particularly turbulent period, Bashar announced in an interview that Asma was pregnant again. This fueled speculation about the possibility of a 4th child joining their family. However, no official announcements followed, and there were no confirmed reports of another child being born into the al-Assad family. Despite the escalating chaos surrounding their political lives, both Bashar and Asma consistently emphasized their commitment to family, often seeking to shield their children from the global scrutiny of their regime. However, the facade began to crack in 2011, when peaceful protests demanding change erupted across Syria. The government's violent crackdown on these demonstrations escalated into a full-blown conflict, bringing immense suffering and destruction. The world's view of Bashar and Asma al-Assad shifted dramatically as this conflict unfolded. What was once perceived as a progressive and modern leadership began to crumble under the weight of the regime's brutality. Asma's image, once associated with charm and compassion, began to unravel as the harsh realities of the regime's actions came to light. In August 2012, journalist Juliet Buck of The Telegraph branded Asma the First Lady of Hell, criticizing her perceived complicity in the regime's crimes. The question arose as to whether Asma could have used her influence to urge her husband to end the violence. In 2012, the wives of the British and German ambassadors to the UN made a public appeal to Asma, urging her to speak out against the violence. Their video message explicitly called on her to take a risk and speak out against the bloodshed, emphasizing that she could no longer hide behind her husband's rule. However, Asma remained silent, allowing her carefully crafted image to fall apart in the face of mounting international condemnation. Over time, it became increasingly clear that Asma al-Assad was supportive of her husband's regime and its actions. Analysts argued that she appeared to grow more comfortable with the power and privileges afforded by her position. According to experts, the couple's attachment to power and influence far outweighed any moral concerns about the regime's atrocities. As one commentator noted, power corrupts, suggesting that neither Bashar nor Asma could have remained ignorant of the widespread suffering taking place in Syria. Any remaining doubts about Asma's complicity vanished in 2012 when The Guardian published leaked emails from her and Bashar's private accounts. These emails revealed that, while Syrians were being bombed, starved, and displaced, Asma was indulging in luxury. She spent vast amounts of money on designer clothes, expensive jewelry, and lavish home decor, an extravagant lifestyle that starkly contrasted with the suffering of the Syrian people. The emails also provided insight into the close bond between Asma and Bashar. In one particularly telling email, Asma wrote to her husband, "If we are strong together, we will overcome this together. I love you." These messages circulated widely in Syria, further fueling public anger. Meanwhile, images began to circulate on social media of Syria's elite, including close associates of the Assads, attending extravagant parties while ordinary Syrians struggled to survive. The civil war transformed Asma from a symbol of hope and modernity to one of betrayal and complicity. Once praised as a progressive and compassionate First Lady, she became widely regarded as someone deeply embedded in the Assad regime's dark legacy. Her silence and her indulgent lifestyle during a time of immense suffering solidified her reputation not as a reformer, but as a figure who contributed to the regime's brutality. As the conflict deepened and international scrutiny of the al-Assads grew, Asma's life took a dramatic turn. Once a glamorous First Lady, she was welcomed at prestigious events and even greeted by Queen Elizabeth II. However, those days were long gone. Over time, Asma became a persona non grata in much of the world. The European Union and the United States imposed sanctions on Asma, effectively cutting her off from the international community. These sanctions accused her of playing a significant role in Syria's economy, with reports linking her to key sectors such as banking, telecommunications, and real estate. These industries were deeply intertwined with the regime's control over Syria's economy. In the UK, the Metropolitan Police launched an investigation in 2021 into claims that Asma had incited war crimes. Although her family, including her father Dr. Fawaz Akras, avoided direct allegations, they faced heightened media scrutiny, further tarnishing Asma's image and isolating her from the global stage. Struggles and sickness.
هاخوض هالمعركة متسلحة بالإيمان والثقة المطلقة برب العالمين وبدعائكم ومحبتكم. شوفكم عن قريب.
In 2018, Asma publicly revealed that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer. She shared her journey openly, appearing in photos throughout her treatment to project strength and resilience. A year later, she announced her full recovery. However, in May 2024, the Syrian presidency revealed that Asma had been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. The illness forced her to step back from her public roles as she focused on treatment. These health announcements sparked controversy, with critics questioning their timing. Some believed they were meant to divert attention away from political developments and the actions of the Assad regime. Others saw them as efforts to gain sympathy both at home and internationally. The Assad regime, which had maintained power for over 2 decades, finally crumbled in 2024. For years, Bashar al-Assad's government had managed to survive thanks to military support from Russia and Iran. Their weapons, troops, and resources had kept the regime afloat, even as opposition forces became stronger. By 2024, however, that support began to diminish. Both Russia and Iran faced their own challenges, reducing their involvement in Syria. Without this backing, the Assad regime could no longer withstand the growing pressure from opposition forces. As opposition groups gained ground, pressure on Bashar al-Assad intensified. Realizing the situation was untenable, Assad's allies urged him to flee the country. The family was evacuated on a private jet, coordinated through a Russian airbase in Syria to ensure their departure remained undetected by the international community. Today, the Assad family resides in Moscow, having been granted political asylum. Russia, a longtime ally of the regime, has refused to hand them over to the International Criminal Court despite widespread calls for justice. Moscow has become their sanctuary, a far cry from the splendor of the presidential palace in Damascus. Their escape has left many unanswered questions. Will they ever face accountability for the conflicts in Syria, or will their powerful allies continue to shield them from justice indefinitely? For now, the family remains in exile, living under the protection of the Russian government as Syria embarks on a new chapter without the Assads. Life in Moscow for the Assad family is far from modest. Despite their fall from power, they continue to maintain a life of luxury. The U.S. State Department estimates the Assad family's net worth at around $2 billion, much of which is hidden in offshore accounts, shell companies, and a vast real estate portfolio. This financial safety net ensures they can enjoy a life of comfort and privilege, even from afar. Bashar and Asma are joined in Moscow by their 3 children. Their eldest son, Hafez, is now 24, while Kareem is 21, and Zain, their only daughter, is 22. The family's vast resources and connections in Moscow are expected to provide a smooth transition. With their extensive wealth, they are likely to continue living in luxury, relying on the protection and hospitality of their Russian allies. It is known that Asma Assad's parents also left their home in the UK and presumably joined their exiled daughter in Russia. This didn't come as a surprise since the family has always been closely knit, with Asma's parents offering unwavering support. The Assad family's new life in exile may take shape in one of Moscow's most exclusive locations, the luxurious City of Capitals complex. This striking skyscraper, situated in the heart of Moscow's prestigious business district, houses some of the city's wealthiest residents. Reports indicate that the Assad family acquired at least 18 high-end apartments valued at more than £30 million in the complex, a clear indication of their long-standing ties to Russia. It remains unclear whether they will reside in one of their private apartments or in a government-provided safe house, but one thing is certain: they won't face the same struggles as ordinary exiles. Inside these apartments, stunning panoramic views of the Moscow skyline complement opulent interiors, with luxury fittings and designer furnishings. The City of Capitals complex itself is renowned for its exclusivity, offering top-tier amenities like private concierge services, high-security entrances, and wellness facilities. An environment that perfectly aligns with the Assad's history of living in grandeur. Rumors and controversy. There have been persistent rumors suggesting that Bashar al-Assad may have secured a mansion in or near St. Petersburg before fleeing into exile. A Telegram channel, which claims to have insider sources, reported that the family of the ousted Syrian president intends to relocate to a villa in St. Petersburg, where they are believed to receive special protection from Russian authorities. Additionally, the channel alleges that Asma al-Assad has already spent time in St. Petersburg undergoing treatment for leukemia, further fueling speculation about the family's connection to Russia. These claims are difficult to verify, but they reflect the long-standing ties between the Assad family and Russia. Bashar al-Assad's relations with Russia extend far beyond real estate. His eldest son, Hafez, has maintained strong connections to Russia for years. Hafez is currently pursuing a PhD at Moscow State University, specializing in physical and mathematical sciences. According to Russian media, Hafez successfully defended his dissertation and has gained recognition as a young academic in his field. His proximity to Russia, combined with his academic achievements, further solidifies the family's deep-rooted relationship with Moscow. For now, the Assad family remains under Russian protection, safe in Moscow. Their refuge there is not surprising, given that Vladimir Putin has held power since 2000, the very same year Bashar al-Assad rose to the presidency in Syria. As long as Putin remains in control, the Assads can expect to live in exile, shielded from external pressures and international accountability. However, if Putin's regime were to collapse, their situation could change dramatically. They would likely face two grim possibilities: fleeing once again, possibly into deeper isolation, or being handed over to the International Criminal Court to face justice for their role in Syria's prolonged conflict and human rights abuses. Asma al-Assad's personal story adds another layer of complexity to this narrative. Though born and raised in the UK, she has become increasingly unwelcome in her home country due to her association with the Syrian regime. Sanctions imposed by the international community, combined with widespread condemnation of the Assad family's actions during Syria's devastating civil war, have made her return nearly impossible. There is growing speculation that Asma may soon be stripped of her British passport, further cutting off one of her last vital connections to her former life. Her health challenges have further exacerbated these difficulties. Diagnosed with leukemia, Asma now faces severe limitations when it comes to accessing advanced medical care. Due to her sanctioned status, she cannot seek treatment in Western countries, forcing her to rely on Russia's healthcare system, which is widely regarded as subpar. The limited options available to her highlight the toll that her decisions have taken on her life. This stark reality paints a tragic picture of Asma al-Assad's journey. Once filled with promise, well-educated, a banker, a mother, and a first lady celebrated on the global stage, her life has taken an unexpected and deeply sorrowful turn. Today she lives in exile, her reputation tarnished, her movements restricted, and her health uncertain. It's a heart-wrenching conclusion to a life that began with so much potential, one that highlights the steep cost of aligning herself with a regime that has drawn widespread condemnation from the international community. What do you think lies ahead for Asma al-Assad and her family? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Thank you for watching.